Welcome everyone. It's been a little while since we've done a fun live stream. So I put out a poll question on Twitter and on YouTube, which you're most excited for. And I guess okay, so I'm going to tweak this. So we're going to end that poll because I put out a Twitter poll. What should we talk about first? So Rings of Power, War of the Rohirrim, Gollum game, or Return to Moria. All right, the poll's up. This is going to be our first big topic of the day. So far, over on Twitter, Rings of Power has a 46 to 39% lead over War of the Rohirrim. Gollum game only had 1.9%. Shoo! Men of the West, Yoistin. Hey, man. Thanks for swinging by, dude. Always fun to see Yoistin. Yeah, the Gollum game is not getting any love. Not friends of sneaking. Catching up with the chat here. Okay, so there is only 15 minutes left. Thanks, Paul. There's only 15 minutes left for the giveaway. The link is in the description. So be sure to go. Oh, hey, Melonheads. What's up, guys? All right, so the link's in the description. Here's a bonus code for you. So even if you've already done all the little, the entry methods for the Gleam giveaway, here's a bonus code. I love NOTR. I love Nerd of the Rings. So go enter that code in the link in the description so you get some bonus entries, more chances to win some fun prizes. And if you didn't see it already, we had a late addition to the prize list. We're actually giving away a map from Lord of Maps, who's been a longtime fan of the channel and a sponsor of videos here on the channel. So that is a fun addition. Someone's going to win a map. Melonheads. Oh, I already said Melonheads. Thanks, guys. Simon, give me hope about the footage you see. So I'm guessing you're talking about the footage that I can't go into detail of yet. I can only give you general, thoughts on it, which is kind of what I did in my last video. The biggest takeaway for me was, like I said in the video, I feel like a lot of fantasy series that have tried to copy or piggyback off of Peter Jackson's films, they come off too clean, and you can tell the craftsmanship isn't there in like the upper echelon of fantasy series have a whole different look to them. I feel like I don't know. I'm not the best with like putting it into words, but they feel too clean is kind of the thing that I come up with, is like they just look like kind of generic costumes and stuff like that. I see it a lot in the costumes, but I will say the costumes and the set design and all that stuff looked on point, which is good. So, like I said, if there's gripes to be had, which I'm sure there'll be plenty of gripes to go around, it should not come from the visuals. I don't think, between John Howe and the set designs and stuff that we saw in the footage, it looked really good. How far are we in? 4 minutes in, and we get our first Feanor did nothing wrong. I'm still waiting for the Melkor. Surely someone's going to say Melkor did nothing wrong. You guys, some people did some stuff wrong in Middle-earth, I got to tell you. Yoistin's got to go back to the gym like Tulkas. Is that a Charizard? next to Gandalf. No, so we got the Gandalf bobblehead, and then that is a Funko Pop Smaug right there. And then that is a mythology candle, which is another one of the giveaway items. So again, make sure you're entered. All right. Sorry, my YouTube, I swear, the chat like refreshes and it drops me to the bottom. Loads of love from India. Been a proud supporter of Lord of the Rings from the beginning. I'd love to hear your views of Rings of Power as well as an insight into War of the Rohirrim. So I did a whole video, not my last video, but a recent video that was all my hopes and fears. So, I've always said I'm going to go into it with an open mind, and see what happens. Like, I'm going to give it a chance to wow me. Like I've never understood the, writing off of a show, like, whatever show it is. It's not just because it's Lord of the Rings, but, people writing off like the Obi-Wan show after like an episode. And, we can debate like whether we think it's a good adaptation or a bad adaptation. Like that's part of being a fan, So yeah, like I'm curious, as I have been. I would have. So like I said in my video, I could go through and like repeat all of my video, but I won't do that. So I would like to see more canon stuff in the marketing. Is kind of what's been the letdown for me, because I feel like it's really focused a lot on creative aspects like Harfoots and stuff. And I won't get onto a rant yet, maybe later. I don't know, about Harfoots, but yeah, it's been one of my one of those things that I've been pretty unsure of all along. But I mean, what do I have to lose by giving the show a shot? General Grievous, hello there. You need to hear Matt's Gollum. What do you guys want me to say as Gollum? My precious. Yes. Yes, precious. Thank you so much, guys. This is fun. This is a fun milestone. It's like 60% to 1 million. I don't know if we'll get to 1 million, but we'll see. Yes. All right, Roak. There's only a few minutes left. What time we got? We have 7 minutes. Make sure you get entered. Make sure you get entered. So once we get past 4:15 here Eastern time, I'll go in and we'll kind of announce winners throughout the stream today. Wow, we've got over 400 people in here. Nice. Fingers tight and made it, guys. I saw your tweet, I think it was earlier, saying that you'd be cutting it really close. So you made it. We haven't gotten into much so far. Grand. Oh, we got another super chat. Let's make sure. Oh, you stupid YouTube refreshing my page. Here we go. Caboose, thank you so much for the super chat. Hey, just to say, I am reading the Silmarillion for the first time, and using your videos as companion pieces have been very helpful. Thank you. That is awesome. I love that was one of the first super chats of today, because that is one of my favorite things to hear, honestly, is, whether it's I'm reading Lord of the Rings for the first time, or I finally have tackled the Silmarillion, tackled the Hobbit. I've finally tackled the Silmarillion, thanks to Nerd of the Rings. That's some of the best feedback that I get on a regular basis, because the whole heart behind this channel is to encourage people to dive deeper into Tolkien's world, because whether it's movies, TV series, YouTube videos, whatever, the best place will always be the books. I'm a firm believer in that. And audiobooks do count. I listen to my books a lot. So if you're one of those people that says audiobooks don't count, we're going to have words. He's 600,000 subscribers. Yes. Yes. All right. We'll get to some actual questions here. Just do Gollum voices for an hour here. Josh asks, do you think we'll see Miranda Otto in War of the Rohirrim, or will she strictly be a voice? So I posted a theory about this on Twitter yesterday, and I could see it going a couple different ways. So obviously the most obvious option would be that she's just a voiceover and that's it. She narrates at the very beginning, maybe a couple times in the middle, and then at the end or something like that. But I don't know. Like I would love to see Miranda Otto and David Wenham reprising their roles as Eowyn and Faramir, and have like a son, their son. His name is, I'm blanking on his name at the moment. But if she was like telling this story to their son, that would be really cool. And I know that would be mixing mediums, having, some live action leading into the anime, but man, I would eat that up like crazy. I would flip and love it. All right. $1 million. That's still a long ways off, precious. Favorite Middle-earth character? So a lot of times I say Gandalf. I know I've said on previous streams that like my default is Gandalf, but I think with all the emphasis on the Second Age recently, I've really turned to Elrond a lot. He's got what I feel like is one of the most compelling storylines throughout all three ages. Like his childhood is very traumatic, and then he goes into the Second Age where he, grows into this great elf lord. And then, the Third Age, he loses his wife. He raises his 3 children. And then, he also raises like the heirs of Isildur. So like he's super, super important. And, his whole life, he's like being separated from those he loves, which is tragic. And so then like at the end, he sails off into the West to presumably be reunited with his wife, which is, I think, a nice conclusion for someone who had had so much separation from family. To be reunited with Celebrian is pretty awesome. Tristan, thank you so much for the super chat. Thanks for all your content, man. I watch your stuff all the time and appreciate all your videos. I reference your vids to help when I reread all this stuff. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Tristan. Here we go. We've got the link. It's been in the chat. It is in the description. Make sure you get entered. You have like a minute left. With the delay, you probably have 30 seconds. Quarantino. Quarantino? There's not an A in the first part. I just went with Quarantino, but Quarantino. That's what we're going with. Do you think they'll connect Rings of Power to the PJ movies? I hope that they... Let's see here. I hope they don't like do anything to egregiously contradict the PJ movies. But I don't think that they probably can't legally say that they're going to connect them, because they're an entirely separate studio. They don't have the rights to those characters or those depictions. So I would imagine they won't say that. They would never say that, I don't think, because they couldn't legally. I think they could feasibly get in trouble by Warner Brothers if they did. But my hope is that, nothing in it egregiously, excuse me, contradicts Peter Jackson. So, like, at the end of the day, like after the 5 seasons, although I will say, I would like to see a book accurate fight between Elendil, Gil-galad, and Sauron. So maybe it should contradict. Either way, I feel like if, for the most part, like, it would be cool if you could look at them as a prequel. But if you want to keep them separate in your mind, I think you'll probably be able to do that. Yeah, 602. Be sure to smash that like button, folks. Oh my gosh. My stupid scrolly thing. Oh, here's Samuel. Thanks for the super chat. Grand. Try and make sure I didn't miss any soupies here. Wonder if the epic commenter is here. Yeah, I should share. So if you didn't see, I posted this on Twitter, but there was one person who was commenting on my videos, like, 20 minutes apart, or however, like, the duration of the video. And their first one was like, I just was recommended this channel and I need something, to escape this crazy world or something like that. And they proceeded to comment on my videos for like the next 8 hours, and with a very short break. And at the end of the short break, they were like, okay, I'm back at it. So their username was Death. So that's a little dark, but hey, shout out to Death for watching a boatload of Nerd of the Rings yesterday. They're probably recuperating. They probably, had a long day. Ash Hart, thank you so much for the super chat. You got me to read all of Tolkien outside of Lord of the Rings. That's awesome. Very cool. Well, now I'm curious, so how deep down the rabbit hole have you gone now? Is it Silmarillion, Unfinished Tales, Fall of Gondolin, Children of Húrin, Beren and Luthien? Have you delved into the history of Middle Earth? That's like a whole other ballpark there. Parker Holla. Or it's probably Haller, but I kind of like Parker Holla. I'm preparing to read the Silmarillion for the first time, and through research noticed there's inconsistencies between the Silmarillion and the history of Middle Earth. Which would you say is the best for accuracy? Oh man, we're getting into the Tolkien canon question. That is a big one. Okay, so I asked this to Carl Hostetter, who wrote Nature of Middle Earth, when he was on the channel. I asked him about Tolkien's canon. Like, how do you decide what should be considered canon? And he said the way he looks at it is anything that Tolkien wrote is potential canon. And, it's kind of up to interpretation, what is canon from that point. If Tolkien wrote it down, then it's fair game, essentially. Now I think, Christopher Tolkien obviously is the most qualified person to ever exist, other than his father, on what we should consider Tolkien. So you'll see in History of Middle Earth, for example, the issue of Orodreth's parentage. So in the Silmarillion, Orodreth is the brother of Galadriel, whereas in later writings, Christopher corrected himself and said, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have put him as in that position in the family tree. He is actually the nephew of Galadriel. So for me, I would take History of Middle-earth over the Silmarillion for that, because it was published after, and he explicitly says that. Now, we can go down a whole nother rabbit hole on, there's arguments to be made why making that change hurts the story or doesn't quite jive with everything, but that's what Christopher went with. So that's kind of what I've presented in my videos. When I do a video on Finrod, or anybody, where someone like Orodreth would pop up, like for example in the Túrin Turambar story. So I will reference him as Galadriel's nephew, because I feel like that was the last word. And thank you for the super chat, Parker. Angelic Storm, thank you for the $10 super chat. For the sake of argument, if a studio made a movie about the Dagor Dagorath and they asked you for your input on how it should go, what would be your thoughts on how it would end? It would be the most epic battle of all time. Well, I would say it would end, like the film would end with the recreation of the world, the second music of the Ainur. Yeah, that would be a tricky one, because the Dagor Dagorath is kind of like, it's just a big old fight, it's the end of the world. So the trick there would be how you lead into it, because of how films are structured. It would be really interesting, because otherwise you kind of just if the Dagor Dagorath, you would just like drop in, and all of a sudden it's like all heck breaks loose. Morgoth shows up and just starts wrecking the sun and moon and everything. Eärendil comes from the sky. Like, anyone who's not in the know on Tolkien lore would be so lost. But it would be amazing. Man, can you imagine Eärendil coming from the sky and knocking Morgoth from the sky, and then Tulkas and Túrin and Eonwe fighting against Morgoth? I don't know. I feel like that could be a cool animated movie, honestly. But yeah, thoughts to how it should end. I would think that the Tolkienian way to do it would definitely be to end not with, cataclysm and battle and stuff, but the second music of the Ainur and the recreation of the world. Where everything comes together. The dwarves are counted among the children of the Ainur, or children of Iluvatar. Yeah, I would think, there's good reason that he focuses on the beauty so many times. You can't believe how difficult it is to find here someone who likes both Lord of the Rings and TMNT. I love both. Yes. So if you haven't seen on my pinned message, after this stream, we're going to hop over to what we are now calling Nerd of the Rings Arcade, which is the channel where my son and I have done some Lego builds and stuff, but we're also going to do gaming over there. And we're going to play the brand new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, because that was my first ever nerddom, was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when I was 3 years old, getting addicted to the cartoon. Voice of the Rings. Shout out to Voice of the Rings. Thanks, man. We need to play some Lotro sometime, for sure. Need to get Voice of the Rings back on for a Lotro stream. Parker again with a super chat. Thanks, man. I'm preparing to read the Silmarillion for the first time, and through research noticed. Oh, this was the one that I read earlier. Whoops. Yeah, we already did that one. My bad. Nicholas, thanks for the super chat. If you would pick one thing that would help make Rings of Power awesome, what would that be? Excluding Elrond and excluding what you talked about in the video. Thanks for the Lord of the Rings nerd content. If I would pick one thing, man, so this is hard, because again, like, we haven't actually seen episodes yet. So, because it's hard to say without knowing, what is happening with the show as opposed to what might or might not happen with the show. So like something like the Obi-Wan show, like I could comment and say, "Oh, I loved episode 5 and it was what I expected the whole show to be. I wish they would have done more of that, more, Anakin and Vader's, or not Anakin, Anakin and Obi-Wan stuff or something." Um yeah, so hmm I think there's certain things that they have to nail for this to be a successful show. They have to nail the fall of Numenor. They have to nail the tension between elves and men around the issue of mortality, which is part of the reason why that's been one of my skeptical things. One of the things that I'm not sold on is the time compression, because I feel like that's kind of what drives it home in the text. The fact that generations of Numenorians are dying, their lives are getting shorter. They turn their backs on the Valar and their lives get shorter. So like they're even further from immortality than they were before. So I feel like they've got to nail that. There's a lot of things, in my opinion, they have to nail. But Anatar, like that depiction of Sauron in his fair form, has to be on point. And like just selfishly, because I love the dwarves, Khazad-dûm needs to look awesome. I think you could have even made the argument that that as far as essential things to the story, like the dwarves might not be the most essential thing. But I think, which sounds like sacrilege if you know how much I love the dwarves, but I'm just saying. Um, but yeah, I think they've got to nail the mortality versus immortality. They've got to nail Anatar and setting up why the elves are motivated to do the whole Rings of Power thing. Like, why does Celebrimbor go along with that plan? Like, they've got to set that up well and make it believable, like why he would fall for that. Yeah, and the Peter Jackson films did battle scenes so well, and there's been no shortage of fantasy battle scenes in other shows and films. So I'm curious what they're gonna do to stick out, compared to what's come before. And then I'm very curious to see how they do like the founding of Gondor and Arnor. Like that doesn't happen overnight. So I'm guessing, if I had to guess, that's probably a time jump thing between um, between seasons, maybe. Like Fall of Numenor ends a season, and then they pick up, and like Gondor's been founded, and Minas Tirith is under construction and stuff like that. Thomas D'Amato, thank you so much for the super chat. Razvan, hey, after you see the Rings of Power, you gave me the impression that you were crying with one eye but still laughing with the other. What? What does that mean? Crying with one eye but laughing with the other. Is that an expression? I don't know that expression. Music from your videos? Question mark. Okay, so So the most common question I get asked is what the ending music of my videos is, which is Roaming the Fields by Kyle Preston. So if you go on Spotify, search Kyle Preston, you'll find a fair number of tracks that I use in my videos. So crying with one eye, laughing with the other, I don't know, like that does that mean that I'm like split or something, maybe? Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. Like, I don't know if that is what you mean, then yeah, there was definitely things that I was impressed by and things that I was leery of. So yeah, I didn't like, obviously I didn't leave there and immediately think like, oh God, this show's guaranteed to be amazing. Like there's too many story elements that are up in the air, and you know, too little, which is fine. There's been too little seen of like canon moments, like the creation of the rings. I never expected the creation of the rings to be in even the first couple episodes. Like there's going to be a fair amount of laying the foundation, I would imagine. But yeah, I just like, there was no way, like no matter what they showed or told us, like I wasn't going to come to a hard conclusion on the show one way or the other, to be honest. Yeah, I've got to see it before before I judge anything. Yeah. Greg Lindemann, thanks for the super chat. Have you tried the One Ring RPG? Please do. I have not. I have it sitting over here on the shelf, actually. So yes, I got this. I did the Kickstarter, and I interviewed Francesco Nepitello, who helped create this. That was way back when they were doing the Kickstarter, actually. So yeah, this is an awesome book. I actually have an extra one that I'm going to give away in the future. So someone at some point will win a copy of the new edition of the One Ring RPG. And the artwork and the care that went into this book is awesome. But no, I have not played it yet, but I need to. I definitely need to. Katie H, thanks so much for this super chat. Who's your favorite Feanorian? So I like the story of Maitros. He's got a pretty compelling arc because he, puts aside, he gives up the kingship, the claim to the kingship. I'm going to draw names for our stuff so we can start announcing winners. But Maglor, I also like Maglor because he softens up and, he's the one who kind of raises Elrond and Elros. So yeah, I'd say one of those two are probably my favorite. And they happen to be like together a lot of the time. All right. Who is Gil-galad's father? That's a whole nother thing. That's a whole other thing too. Who's Luke's father? That's a good question. Tristan Little, thanks so much for the super chat. I bartend and work odd hours and often don't have time to reread, so I watch your videos on the daily to get some Tolkien in my life. Appreciate you. Oh, that's awesome. I see on your I noticed your icon there that your profile picture that you're at a bar. Very cool. Well, I'm glad that I could bring some Tolkien into your life. That's what I'm here for, guys. Oh, this YouTube, it like jumps ahead. I don't know if you've seen this. With other YouTubers, but it like jumps ahead. Thanks so much, Simon, for the super chat. I know I had another one here. I saw another one pop up. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Here we go. Daniel Green. Hey, shout out to Daniel Green. Who would win in a fight? You with two baseball bats or Legolas without hands? Oh man. I don't know. I mean, if we're going with movie Legolas, he can, gravity doesn't affect him. So yeah, it'd probably be about even. I feel like I'm pretty good with a baseball bat though. That was my sport. And I don't think I would even use 2 baseball bats because that would be awkward to have 2 baseball bats. I feel like I would go with 1 baseball bat. I'd be better swinging with 1 baseball bat. But that's a great question. That's a very unique question. I'm going to have to come on one of your streams sometime and ask you an equally odd question. Animated Pencil Studios, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm going to call you Aule because of your love for dwarves. Yeah, I can go with that. Turtle power. See, now I'm catching up to the chats that were related to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. All right. Katie H. Oh, I just answered this, actually. Favorite Feanorian. Do a video on Ancalagon the Great, please. So I did do a video on dragons of the First Age, and I did cover Ancalagon in there. So you should totally check that out, because I think that will likely cover everything that you're looking for. All right, I'm going to announce some winners between our super chats here. All right, the first thing that we're going to give away from Numbskulls is a Tubbs duck. I've got 2 of these. They sent me a couple bonus to give away here on the channel. And they also sent me these. These are kind of cool. They're Lord of the Rings sunglasses. So now you can see the reflection of my screen and see me. I can see me in the reflection. So yeah, we've got a couple Saruman ducks, and our winners are Thomas Mayer and Tyler Hartwell. Congratulations, guys. You have a Saruman duck heading your way. I love this one because he's got the Palantir, which is awesome, and his staff. Both pretty awesome. So there you go. So there's 2 winners. You'll also you will also when I hit the button over here, you'll get an email that tells you. So if you won, you will get an email. Yes, I did see the One Ring RPG has a Strider mode. Yeah, that looks really cool. I like the idea of getting a group together, though, even if it's virtual. So maybe I'll do a stream in the future. If you guys put a 1 in the stream if you would like me to do a One Ring RPG stream in the future. I think that would be fun. Conquest Reimagined Helm's Deep. I did see that. Yeah, they do some awesome stuff. Conquest Reimagined. They're doing some great stuff. All right. Jared Wright, thanks so much for the super chat. My kids are at my door like the Uruk-hai army at Helm's Deep. If you could have had any reinforcement of your choice, who would you have had? Reinforcement. Again, like against my kids outside the door? Is that specific of a situation or just in general? Middle Earth in general. I mean, those Mumix are pretty beastly, you know? If I'm going from anywhere in Middle Earth, like the Mumakil, they're pretty serious business. We saw in the concept art for War of the Rohirrim, like, I think they might only have 1 there. And I'm sure that does some pretty significant damage to Edoras. Yeah, I think depends on the terrain too. Like, are we fighting in the mountains? Because if we're under the mountain, then I want the dwarves all the way. Mumakil isn't going to do you any good. You're not going to be able to get it in that mountain. Open plains, you know, I want the cavalry. I want Rohirrim. Yeah. The Rohirrim come in pretty darn handy. And plus I love the Rohirrim. And their music from the films, oh, so good. Yeah, so this is one thing that's been touched on. You know, I assume we're talking about like Rings of Power and dwarves and stuff. That's one thing we kind of got hints of was that you know, we've seen dwarves used for comedic relief a lot in the Peter Jackson films, and I think we're going to see some more serious depictions of the dwarves and their culture. Again, I'm curious how the whole simultaneous Durins will play out. That's my biggest, you know, not sure of moment with that. But yeah, I think we'll get to see more dwarves than you might expect just from reading, you know, the appendices. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up. I'm going to catch up here. Simon, thanks so much for the super chat, my friend. Yes, War of the Rohirrim. I'm going to pull up that image that we got of War of the Rohirrim. It's so good. Boom. Look at that. That's just, oh man, I love that. Just Helm Hammerhand. He's got these pulverizing fists that he's just beat people to a bloody pulp with on a mound of frozen dead bodies of his enemies. And then I like how the ice is frozen, basically going sideways. So it kind of plays into that whole idea that they had just a terrible winter when this takes place. And it's going to be cold and there's going to be famine and it's going to be rough. So presumably these are the doors of the Hornburg. That's my best guess. So if you remember from the Peter Jackson films, that's the causeway, the you know, where where Aragorn tosses Gimli onto and they repair the door. So that I'm assuming that that is this very door right here that we see behind Helm Hammerhand. Oh my chat. Come on, chat. Where? All right. That expression means that you're happy, but also disappointed. Something like that. I didn't see any 1/6 toys from Lord of the Ring on your Lord of the Rings on your shelf. Yeah, I don't have many. I'm trying to think. I don't have many toys. The closest thing I have is the mini epics. I am gonna do. A lot of people have asked me for a tour of the of the Nerd Cave, and I am gonna do that. I actually just got today. So you saw my United Cutlery Gimli axes video come out, and 2 of my axes I got secondhand. So I had to get I had to buy some like generic wall plaques online so I could make a nice display of the 3 axes. So I just got those in the mail today. So I'm hoping this weekend I can put those up and have a nice Gimli display. And then I will do a full-on tour video because I have all kinds of awesome bookshelf space. I've got mini epics back here. I've got so the Gandalf bobblehead that you see right up here. That is yeah, right up here, Gandalf. Those are Upper Deck, I think, made those back when the films were coming out. And I have the whole set, and they're on a high shelf over here. So I'll get you guys a whole tour of the Nerd Cave. Sergio, thanks so much for the super chat. Many despise Túrin, but I believe he was right in all he did. Nargothrond was already doomed, surrounded by Morgoth's armies. At least he and the Noldor put a fight. What do you think about my theory? So Túrin is obviously a very tragic hero, and he kind of falls susceptible to his own pride a lot. And with Nargothrond specifically, he kind of gets this feeling like he's, you know, put off this curse that was on him. And so he's kind of he's a little cocky about it, you know. Um I kind of think that if a Vala like Ulmo says, "Hey guys, tear down your bridge and shut your doors," that you should probably do it, because it usually doesn't work out well if you go against the advice of a Vala. Um, yeah, so I get what Turin was going for. Like he would rather, and it talks about this in that book, I think. Um, how elves, again, it goes back to the elves and men, the mortality thing. Men are much quicker to, like, yes, let's go to battle right now, whereas elves will go to battle in 100 years or something, because they have time. Like they can take their time, make plans. So like an elf could wait in Nargothrond and see if the Valar come to save them in a couple 100 years. Whereas a man, he's got, 100 years or so, give or take, to or depending depending on the men we're talking about and what time period. But in general, they've got, 50 good fighting years, maybe not even, 20 good fighting years. So, someone like Turin, who's really, really good at it, for one thing, he's going to want to fight. He's going to want to take the fight to the person who he thinks, killed his dad and who's wrecked his life and put a curse on his family. Whereas, elves are more likely to wait it out. Yeah, so I think, while understandable, I don't think that he was necessarily right. Harvey Harrison, thanks so much for the super chat. Hi, mate. Hope you are well. Any ideas on a prop build? Like one that, like, giving you ideas to do a prop build, or like, should I do a prop build? I don't think I could build props, but this does tie into some news that I posted on Instagram a while back. I am working with a very talented swordsmith, and we are going to make Gorthang. So speaking of Túrin, we're going to make his black sword Gorthang. So I will maybe if one of the mods can grab David's YouTube link, we could put that in the chat. But yeah, it's gonna be really cool. I've seen the designs for it. If you go on my Instagram, there's David's sketches and stuff that he's done. So hopefully sometime this summer, I'll be posting a video kind of showing a work in progress on that. But we've been talking about it for a couple months now, and working out details and design and everything. And he's put a ton of thought into what kind of historical blades should inspire Gorthang, and we're gonna try to figure out what runes should be on the blade. Like, it doesn't tell us like if what's written on the blade, but we're gonna come up with something, whether, should it be Elvish because it was reforged in Nargothrond. That's probably what we'll end up going with. But what words should it say? There's a lot of details to work out. Antonio Bays, thanks so much for the super chat. Is there a better scene in cinema history than the charge of the Rohirrim? Probably not. Nope. Never has been, never will be. No, I don't know. Maybe there will be. But right now, yeah. If there was one moment, if I wanted to pull something up on the big screen here in the Nerd Cave, and I had like time to play one scene, that would be the scene. Because it's just, Bergen, what do you think of Sauron in Rings of Power? I think he should definitely be there for sure. Like I said earlier, I think they've got to nail Anatar. They've got to get that right, and they've also got to get, they've also, oh shoot, the scrolly thing. Oh my gosh, there we go. Yeah, so they've got to get Anatar right, and they've got to get Sauron right, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how they pull it off, and what actor. I think there's been rumors of who's playing Sauron, but I don't know if they've officially said. Yeah, I'm really hoping that that they nail both characters, because it kind of is two characters in a way. Like, he's got to be convincing as someone who could dupe the elves, and also someone who could dupe Ar-Pharazôn in Numenor, because those are the two times where he'll have his fair form. It's not until the Fall of Numenor where he loses that ability. So then, like, once Fallen Numenor, like, you're 100% on the dark visage of Sauron. So, like, the what we see in the Peter Jackson films. Actually, okay, I'm gonna do this super chat. I'm gonna announce some more winners because I keep forgetting. All right, we're gonna do a batch here. All right, so we're going to give away some mythology candles. So they sent me this awesome box of candles, and I just realized that it's taped shut. So I'm going to pull out once again. If you saw my last video, my new Gandalf knife, I got this from an estate sale. It's from like the 70s. It's this Gandalf knife, so you can see it kind of up close. Some random stuff, but I got it. So I'm going to use this to open. Look at that. It's like a 60-year-old knife. All right. Oh, nope. There's tape on the sides too. All right. Well, we can answer a question while we do this. Simon, thanks for the super chat. Why do you think Amazon is so slow and overly secretive with the marketing of the show? Good sign or bad sign? Bad sign, according to you. That is a great question, man. I don't know. It's odd because, especially coming from, the Peter Jackson films where he was so open, especially with the Hobbit films. He did like those production diaries and stuff during the production of the films. Like, he knew that fans loved to get an inside look and loved to see the passion behind the project and to see the craftsmanship. It was basically like, on the front end, getting a little bit of that appendices feel. Like, we didn't get a whole lot of that on the front end of Lord of the Rings, but then after Lord of the Rings was a smash hit, the DVDs come out and the appendices are, universally praised as, some of the best bonus features ever made. I think that was, part of the impetus for getting those production diaries, and people like that, I do wonder if they did more like that and showed the craftsmanship. Like I said, we got to see some costumes, and the costumes looked fantastic. Like I said, generic fantasy, they look too clean. In generic fantasy series and films that I've seen in the past, you can just tell that it's lower budget, and the costumes look very bland, whereas these looked really detailed, and they had scuffs, and they had small dents, and all these detail. And I feel like, gosh, like put some of that out there. Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't. But there's definitely this secrecy thing. Like, and I don't know. I guess it depends on what you like. Like, I like seeing the behind the scenes stuff. I don't like spoilers before I see movies and TV shows. So I don't necessarily want to know like, oh, season 1 will end with this shot or whatever. Like, I don't really care to have spoilers, but I would like to see some of the craftsmanship going into it. And I feel like that might, encourage some people who have been, uh, left with a lackluster feeling about the show because there's so little to go on. I feel like when there's so little to go on, that's when people are more likely to assume the worst, I would think. But I mean, not that, like I said, the marketing we've gotten has been very scattershot. I feel like, that first image of the 2 trees in Tyrion, that was probably like the high watermark for me personally. Like that's been my favorite piece of marketing of the whole thing. Yeah. All right. So anyway, mythology candles. Whoop. There's the paperwork that comes in them. So there we go. We've got some mythology candles. I'm dropping all kinds of stuff. I love the design of this stuff. The artistry that goes into packaging. I'm a sucker for good packaging, which is why I like to get, the no matter how many copies of like Lord of the Rings they release, it's like, here's another one. This one has illustrations by this person. Okay, let's do that. I like pretty pictures. Gaffer's Garden. That sounds like an interesting one. So yeah, we've got some mythology candles to give away. So let's get to it here. I'm going to read off 5 names. These are the first 5 winners. You've won one of the Fellowship sample packs. So we've got Tommy Legare, Evan Johnson, Robin Bjorkland. I hope I'm saying your names right. If I'm not, I apologize. Gray Lee, Cadgus Koskun, and George Bradfield. So there you go. There's the first 5. And then I will also show, so I got a one of the big candles from Mythology as well that I really like. I couldn't remember what kind it was, but it's called A Dance with Rosie. And I smelled this and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so perfect. So one of the flavors in here, scents, I guess it's only flavor if you taste it. You probably shouldn't eat candles. Non-edible, I'm sure. Notes of raspberries, strawberry, and cream with a hint of rosemary. How awesome is that? I love that they thought to make strawberries and cream such a big part of that, because that's the first thing I noticed. And I was like, when Sam is on the mountain, he's talking about strawberries and cream. Oh my gosh, my scrolly just went crazy. All right. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I'm way behind, guys. I'm trying to catch up. Hogsmeade Howler. That's a fun name. Love your channel. What happened to the Ainur that didn't enter Middle Earth? Are they still singing? I imagine they're doing whatever they want, man. Singing seems pretty important, though. So they wouldn't be singing like bringing more things into creation, because that was the music of the Ainur. That was an event, so that happened. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's a great question. Like, what do they do up there? I'm sure after a certain point, any of them who were tempted to go down to Arda were probably like, man, I'm really glad I didn't go down there. That place is a mess. They're waiting for the second music. Like, no, we'll come back on the next pass. Thank you for the super chat, by the way, as well. Fingers tighten. I've been an anime fan since the 1980s. I own VHS copies of Akira and Fist of the North Star on a scale of 99 to 100. How hyped do you think I am for War of the Rohirrim? Dude, I'm going to say 100. For sure. You guys don't think I should eat the candle. That's good. That's good to know. Oscar, thanks for the vote of confidence. We'll see. We'll see what happens, you know? What do you think we'll see in this movie? Helm's nephew Freylof taking Edoras back and slaying Wolf. For me, that would be a BA revenge finale of the film. Yeah. No, this like War of the Rohirrim is a great one-shot story, like a one-off story. Yeah, I think it's a great choice for a film. I hope that it's the first of many, honestly. Like these one, they take one arc from an isolated story in the history of Middle Earth and make a film out of it. I think it's uh a very cool idea, and yeah, I hope it turns out awesome. Like the whole story from, you've got fathers and sons and uncles and nephews and everything, and there's so much uh interesting dynamics at play and revenge from both sides. um yeah, I'm very pumped about it. Hope Gorman, which book is best to read after the Silmarillion? So if you have not read it yet, Children of Hurin is pretty much always going to be my answer anytime. If it comes, after you've read The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, I'm going to recommend people go Children of Hurin. If you've already read the Silmarillion, like definitely Children of Hurin. Yeah, I usually recommend. I have to go back and check my reading order. I had some good logic behind it, but I think I even said um, Children of Hurin before the Silmarillion because it's a single contained story, whereas the Silmarillion has a lot of history, a lot of characters, and they're shorter and they still make sense and everything, but it's a very high. It's a more high level read, I think, than Children of Hurin. There we go. Roax got us. Yeah, David over at Cedar Lore Forge. There's the link in the chat. Check out his channel. We'll be having some collaborative videos coming up soon. Whoop, whoop, whoop. There we go. Callisto Arcos, congrats on 600,000 subs from Nerdvengers Tower. Yeah. Den of Nerds. We love you and we are proud of you. Thank you for all you do for Tolkien fans. Well, yeah, shout out to our friends over at Nerdvengers Tower on the Den of Nerds channel. I hang out there when they're doing their live streams sometimes. I'm sitting here working on my videos. I pull up Josh's stream. That's where I get my Marvel info from. He delves into Star Wars too, but he's definitely my Marvel guy, 100%. Naru, thank you so much for the super chat. Hello, I just want to super chat for all the great content. Thank you. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Yeah, more winners. Let's do it. More from Mythology Candles. Let's do another 5. Another 5 fellowships. All right. I already said George was a winner. All right. I think I accidentally said 6 last time. So, so we'll do another 4 here. Manos Lanakis. Manos Lanakis. Lajuan, Seth Waters, Toby, and we'll go ahead and announce the first of the spring in the Shire. packs. Scott Hayward. So there we go. Another 5 winners. Thank you so much to Mythology Candles for donating a bunch of candles for Nerd of the Rings fans. And like I said, I've got my Droppin' Eaves burning right there. Gives me a nice Middle Earthy smell. All right. Philosopher King Gaming, thanks so much for the super chat. Are you going to do the Conqueror challenge where you walk the distance from Bagan to Mount Doom? I have completed one of the 5 challenges on the way to Moria. Well, Philosopher King, allow me to move my fat head. And there you can see I have already done them. All 5 right there. Boom, 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 boom. So I did post those on Instagram. Tell you what, give me some ones in the chat if you would like me to post like maybe a YouTube short or a video or something breaking down all these medals, or not breaking them down, but showing off all the medals. The Moria one is really cool. It opens up. It's got the doors of Doran that open up, which is awesome. Yeah, they're really high quality. I love them. I used to run a lot more than I do now. Who am I kidding? I don't run. I walk. I take walks. That's what I do. I used to run like half marathons and stuff, but kids, work, stuff happens. You stop. Then you're like, maybe I can walk. I try to get my 10,000 steps in each day. Sergio, thank you so much for the super chat. Here's an idea for a Nerd of the Rings video. Tolkien's Lore's special animals: great eagles, Baruthiels, cats, meras, horses, Ungoliant spiders, and good boy Juan. Yeah, I like that. I love the animals of Middle Earth. That's a good topic. So we talked about Baruthiel's cats a bit in the Black Numenorians video. I need to do a video on the meras. I've been asked that quite a bit lately. So yeah, I'll definitely do that, and one on Huan because he is awesome. I did one on the spiders, so I've got a twofer on spiders. So we've got Ungoliant and the spiders of the First Age, and then Shelob and the spiders of the Third Age. So you should definitely check those out if you're interested in the spiders. The other one I kind of want to do a video on is the Shire Fox. And if you're not familiar with this, the Shire Fox is in Fellowship of the Ring, and it's this fox that, the book says, how he thought it was odd that hobbits were where they were or something like that. I can't remember the exact quote. So I'm sure somebody probably has it memorized, but so it's like this, in the fandom, it's this idea that there's this, obviously intelligent fox that was, having all these thoughts and stuff. So maybe I should do a theory on what if Shire Fox got the One Ring. People like it. I like those theories of so-and-so getting the ring. Oh, did you see any combat in your Rings of Power sneak peek? And did it look realistic? Like PJ nailed it. So I can't say what I saw, but I can say that visually it seemed to line up well with Peter Jackson in terms of production value. I will say that. And not like Lord of the Rings production value, I would say. And I mean that in a good way. Like, those are 20-year-old movies that really, really hold up. Whereas, presuming that there was CGI involved in what I did see, it did not look like Battle of the Five Armies trolls, for example. Like some of the CGI there, especially with the trolls and like the ones that get like their limbs cut off and stuff. Like, those didn't look good in my mind. Simon, last one, friend. How do you feel about all the hates the show have? At this stage, it seems forced to me. Man. Yeah, I mean, dude, like I said in my other video, um, I'm not gonna tell anyone how to fan, you know? So like if you want to, rag on it, that's fine. Like I don't, you know, you feel however you want to feel about it. But don't feel offended that other people are feeling the opposite way as you or even neutral. I've seen so many people, I feel like I'm pretty neutral on this show. Like it could go well at this point and it could go bad at this point. And I'm just waiting to see, and I want it to be good because it'd be a lot more fun to talk about a good show than a bad show. But yeah, no, dude, I'm not going to comment on any, specific channels or anything, but there's a lot of discourse out there that I think is motivated. It's not motivated with the interest of the Tolkien fandom at heart. I will say that. Like I said, if you come here to Nerd of the Rings, you can hate the show, you can love the show, you can like the show, you can dislike the show, you can be ambivalent about the show, whatever. Have your opinions. It's fine. That's what fandom is. And I think a lot of people have forgotten that it's okay to have a difference of opinion and that you can treat other people with respect when they have a difference of opinion. And like we can debate the merits and the pitfalls, like I said in my last video. We can debate the merits and pitfalls of this show, like fans of the same universe, the same world of Middle Earth, and we can have those debates cordially. There's no reason not to. Yeah. So there you go. I'm not gonna be the type of channel that's gonna scream at you one way or the other or tell you how to feel. So yeah, if you like it, you like it. If not, that's fine. Whatever. I'm a pretty easygoing guy, so we can be easygoing together. I think that's what a lot of people enjoy about this channel. Ryan, thanks so much for the super chat. Have you seen the YouTube channel called Clamavi de Profundi? If not, they produce songs from Lord of the Rings, such as Fall of Gil-galad, Song of Durin, and many others, as well as their own original fantasy songs. Heck yeah. Clamavi de Profundi is fantastic. I love it. The Song of Durin is my favorite of all of theirs. Yeah. Yeah, if you've never seen it, if you've never heard Clamavi de Profundi, anyone in the chat, after the stream, and after my next stream, that'll come after this stream, sometime today, you should go check out Clamavi de Profundi, Song of Durin. It is it's like dwarvenness injected into your veins. It is fantastic. All right, I'm going to try to catch up and get a little more recent. You guys type. I had to think like, what did I have you type ones in the chat for? And that was for the metals thing. Okay, so I'll do a short video on the metals. Shout out to Man Kenflon. Became a YouTube member. Welcome. All right. Whoop. Tom de Bombadil 19. Do you think we will see the Merry Fellow in Rings of Power? I don't. I've heard people theorizing that. I don't know if it will. I don't know if it'll happen. Yeah. I don't know. Man. I can't decide if it would be awesome or if it would be like hugely distracting, but I kind of want, like, just in the background of one of the shots for this dude to be just like prancing and singing along, going about his merry way when all heck is breaking. Oh my gosh, could you imagine if it was like uh the Battle of the Guathlo or something in Eriador, and then in the woods in the background you just you just see like Tom Bombadil skipping along singing, not paying any attention to the war that is happening in his backyard. I don't know. I mean, I would like to see Tom Bombadil at some point in something. My dream would be, I've said many times, so like I love the mini epics from the Weta mini epics, and I would love to see an animated Lord of the Rings series based on that look. I think it's a really good look. It kind of a little bit like, Clone Wars, but not quite. But like later seasons of Clone Wars that looks like really, really good. I think a cool idea would be an animated Lord of the Rings series, and that would be a perfect thing to bring Tom Bombadil into, because you could do a Tom Bombadil episode. If there was a series on Lord of the Rings, there is no reason not to have a Tom Bombadil episode. It would be awesome. 'Tis like nerd theory. Yeah, I love listening to nerd theory. That's another one that I love listening to. Hearing Josh and Theory talking about Star Wars and stuff. I agree with a lot of their, not just like takes on Star Wars and stuff, but their approach. Like, I may critique a show, but I'm not going to rage about a show. That's stress that's unhealthy, I think, like why? Why? We always have the books, folks. If the show sucks, we go back to the books. We go play Lotro. We haven't even talked about Return to Moria. We can return to Moria. We'll talk about that here in a second. Have a whole nother video game. We have two video games coming out in Middle Earth. Have we ever had two at the same time? I don't think we have. Sean, thanks so much for the $50 super chat. Do you think Rings of Power will focus more on Amazon's characters or Tolkien's canon characters? Disney's Star Wars suffered due to royalty fees to Lucas estate. Lucas's character equals fee, Disney original character no fee. Are Amazon's edits financial? Huh. I have never heard this royalty Lucas estate thing. I had no idea about that. So I will say that, like, one of the things I felt, the Star Wars sequels lacked was, focus on the original characters. Like they had, Han, Leia, and Luke back, but I felt like they didn't hardly use them, that would be really interesting if that's a consideration. So that specific, instance, I would not think that would be a thing with this. Like, I don't think if you have Gil Galad in 8 episodes instead of 5, then you're going to have to pay more to the Tolkien estate. Like, I would assume, I mean, I'm no expert, but I would, on, the legal documents or anything, but I would imagine they've got the rights to all that material. So, they have the rights to those characters. They can use them in any way they see fit. Now, I certainly hope, like I said in my hopes and fears video, I hope they concentrate on the canon characters, because that is what we're here for. That's the stories that we know. And that's been, one of my frustrations with the marketing is like how much of the made up characters they've been focusing on. Like, I think was it the Empire piece that had the new images come out, and I was counting them up. Like, if you exclude the behind the scenes photos, like 5 out of the 16 were of the hobbits who who, you know, are kind of like pushed into this story. You know, they're not part of the grand story that's happening in Middle Earth at this time. So yeah, I hope that they, you know, when push comes to shove and the show actually comes out, that we're gonna get Galadriel, Gil-galad, Elrond, the Númenóreans, Anatar obviously will pop up at some point. You know, I don't want to see too much of him. I feel like, you know, you kind of have to pace it with the villain, to not show too much of him too early. But yeah, I obviously am far more interested in the canon characters than the non-canon characters. Although I will say I really like the arrow thing, like from the teaser where he like grabbed the arrow out of the air. I actually made the point that I would like to see that in full speed instead of slow-mo. I'm not huge on slow-mo. I think it's used a lot, but I would like to see him catch that arrow, you know, do it really fast. That's the actual sound effect, by the way. Yeah. So it like happens real fast, and then you have a beat to be like, whoa, that just happened. Quarantino, thanks so much for another super chat. What is the mysterious staff sword in the Rings of Power pictures? Are you talking about the staff or the sword? So the black sword. So the big theory that I've seen in Tolkien circles is that the sword is Gorthang, which we were just talking about earlier, Túrin Turambar sword, but I don't think it is. I feel like it's more likely something different. And I'm going to get, okay, so there's 475 people here. We're going to give away some more prizes. You guys hit the like button so we can get more people in here. And then I'm going to tell you my theory before I do a theory video on it, because I have an idea that I think might be accurate. All right. So we're going to give away some more mythology candles. It smells so nice in here. I wish you guys could smell through the screen. It smells very nice in here because I've had this candle going for like since half hour before I started streaming. All right. So let's just go ahead. We'll go ahead and give away the rest of the mythology candles. All right. So we've got Hannah Cool, Michael Gillis, Daniel Tristram, Ken Long, Vishaka Sen, Philip Poling, Jeremy Poole, Julia Perez, and Aris Nevin. And I've seen, it's fun because it tells me what entry of theirs actually won, and some of these have been from the bonus ones that came in the stream. So I know that you were at least here at the beginning of the stream and you entered a bonus code. Very fun. All right, so we've still got 4 more fun prizes to give out. So we'll get to those in a minute. Okay, so the other option that I think the sword could be, the black blade, could be a Morgul blade. Even though Minas Morgul would not exist yet, but I don't know. Maybe. That's the other thing. Like the dark blade just has like this very foreboding aspect about it. So that's my other theory. What do you guys think? Callan Chapel, thank you so much for the super chat. Shout out to the community you've brought together, regardless how the new content comes out. It's amazing to see us all here keeping the story alive. Heck yeah. Hallelujah to that. Seconded. Man, yeah, I love this community. You guys have no idea how much fun this community is to, whether it's, you know, the supporter Discord, like all my Patreon supporters, they have access to the Discord, and YouTube supporters and everything, or interacting with people On Twitter, on occasion, I kind of try to tread lightly on Twitter because it's a place, let me tell you. Or just here in the YouTube comments and stuff. Like following the person who discovered the channel and went on an 8-hour binge yesterday. So much fun. Yeah. And honestly, what you touched on there, Callan, is a great point. I thought about it when they revealed the covers of the tie-in books, that when you think about it, doesn't make a whole lot of sense that, that there would be Rings of Power covers when, the story is just in the appendices of Return of the King. So like, why would, I think it's Elrond's, it's the hand posters, that showed their hands. Like, why would that be on the Two Towers of all books? Like, it doesn't, if anything, like either Elrond or Galadriel would make more sense on Fellowship. I think Galadriel's on Fellowship, but the thing that it made me think of was, this show's coming out. It's going to drive interest in Tolkien and, stuff like those tie-in books. Like someone out there, whether it's a kid, adult, whoever, someone out there is going to get those movie tie-in books or series tie-in books, and that's going to be their first window into Middle Earth. And they're going to dive in to Middle Earth because of this show, or because of one of the video games coming out, or because of War of the Rohirrim. Like, there's going to be people out there for each of those things that's their first window. That's the starting line. And they are embarking on a lifelong race. It's a marathon, not a sprint, but they're embarking on this lifelong marathon of diving deeper into Tolkien's world. So I'm pumped about that, if nothing else. Like, there's going to be more people in this fandom, more people having their eyes open to this amazing fantasy world that we all know and love. And so it's kind of cool when you think about it like that, honestly. JD, thanks so much for the super chat. Do you think we'll see Celeborn in Rings of Power, or has Amazon just forgotten that Galadriel has been married for like 1,000 years? So I was assured by the showrunners, by Patrick McKay himself, that they are not ignoring Celeborn and that they have plans for Celeborn. And by extension, I don't know if he mentioned her by name, but I got the feeling that Celebrian was part of that equation as well. So my theories with how this might play out, I wonder if they're going to mix things up to where Galadriel and Celeborn aren't yet married, and they will meet and fall in love as part of this show. That's just a theory. I have no information, no leaks or anything to base that on. But judging by her characterization as she's been described, she feels a lot more like what I expect of early first age Galadriel, like before she spends time in Doriath with Melian. Yeah, I think my theory that I was postulating was perhaps Celeborn is what is part Celeborn and Celebrian part. Maybe they are part of what leads Galadriel to, be less hot-headed and be more wise and look to protecting her fellow elves instead of being on the offensive. Because it sounds like, that she's going to be very aggressively going after Sauron from the sounds of it, from like rumors and stuff. But yeah, that's just my thought. I'm hoping that Celeborn has a big part to play and has a big part to play in Galadriel's life, and that we see, like, there's got to be a character arc for Galadriel that gets her to where she is in Lord of the Rings. she can't just be like this angry, brash person the whole time. Like that's yeah. Like it's got to make sense. I feel like I know we said this isn't a prequel necessarily to Peter Jackson's movies, but we know how she is in the books. She's the way that Peter Jackson depicted her in Lord of the Rings is by and large how she is in the books. So we need to get her to that point. Emperor Lorcan. Hey, Matt, been a fan since the trilogy's love channels where they go in-depth lore. My question is, if you could have a game like the Elder Scrolls, what would it look like and why? Congrats. 600K. Thanks so much, Emperor. So I have not played Elder Scrolls. I've seen bits of like gaming streams and stuff, enough to know like the general look of it. Yeah, any kind of open world RPG I would be down for 100%. So we mentioned we've got the Gollum game and we've got the Return to Moria game. I'm still waiting on like a huge AAA, which I guess the Gollum game is a AAA game, right? Is it? But yeah, I want that big open world RPG game. I would love to be able to play as different characters as well. Like part of the reason I love the old school Return of the King game so much is because you can play as Gandalf and the three hunters and the hobbits, and Merry and Pippin have their Aragorn and Rohan armor and everything. Yeah, so I basically, it's kind of like I want what they did with Lego Lord of the Rings, but in a serious game where I can play as everybody and it's open world. But yeah, give me those RPG elements for sure. Yeah, see, Dirk's going to hire me for my sound effects. That's a good spelling of it. I wouldn't even know how to begin to spell that sound. All right, let's try to catch up here. All right, the Emperor's got another one. Oh yeah, sorry. I'm just really behind. That's why I hadn't read it yet. That's my bad. All right, make sure. Okay. Sorry, catching up. All right, Mad Titan. Do you think they will show Anatar in plain sight as a random to begin with, like teasing us in the beginning with us not knowing who he really is? That is my guess. Yeah. Yeah, I think that sorry. I think that it is likely that he is another character, perhaps one that's already been revealed. Some people have said Meteor Man is secretly Sauron, is Anatar. Some people I think have said, is it Halbrand, like the man that is an original character. That's another one that people have said. There might be others. I can't think of if I've heard any others, but there's been a couple that I've heard people theorize who he might be. And I think they will for at least a little bit. They'll have him there under some other guise or some other name. But eventually he'll like transform into, what will basically look like, very elven in nature, like a Maiar or Valar. Take on that fair visage and call himself Anatar, because I think there's a limit on how cutesy you can be with that and trying to keep everybody in the dark. At some point, the people who know the lore and know Tolkien are going to know that Anatar is up to no good. So the question becomes like, do you, how long do you put that off before you can make it obvious that that's Anatar and he's Sauron in disguise? I kind of hope, like, man, I don't know how I hope they do that. If it's one of those other people who's like an unknown person that they just kind of like made up, I don't know if I would like. It'd be interesting if they like killed that character off or something, and then you find out like, oh, that person didn't really die because that was Sauron, and it didn't. they didn't actually kill him or something, and then he shows up as Anatar. Yeah, that's tricky. Because I kind of like for my friends who aren't familiar with it, I almost want them to think that this Anatar is someone good. Like, it would be fun if people who weren't in the know were fooled by that. But if he's somebody else and you see him transform into Anatar, then you're automatically going to be like, oh, well, something's wrong with that guy. Something's going on. Yeah, that's tricky. All right, let's give away another prize. All right. Next up, we have the Tolkien. Let me see if I can pull this up. If I can pull up the image here. I should have had these. Here we go. Should have had the images ready for you guys. That's my bad. Here we go. This book right here. Cute little book. I hope somebody who's got kiddos, surely you've got some kiddos in your life, whether it's a niece or nephew, your own kids, somebody. It's a cute little book. Tells the story of J.R.R. Tolkien. And this one goes to Tony Finnerty. Tony won that by retweeting me on Twitter. Good job. So yeah, cute little book. I got it for my kiddos. I'd recommend it. Cute little book. It's not oh, and it's actually here, let me put this in the chat here. So this book is actually, Amazon has a buy two get one free going on right now. So I'm going to pop this in the chat. It's my affiliate link if you care to use it, but you'll see it's part of the buy two get one free, get three for the price of two sale that's going on right now at Amazon. So yeah, if you're bummed that you missed out, you can get one for yourself and one for gifts. There you go. Nice little book. All right. So let's look at, I think I'm caught up on the super chats now. And I've been trying to pull some in. Like I try to pull some in from the regular chat as well as I'm going. Like I don't want to just do super chats. I try to pull them in, but yeah, I do the best I can when the chat gets crazy, all right. Awesome. He's even in the chat. Going to the nephews. Ooh, this is a good question. Very nice profile pic. I like it. Do you think they'll portray the seductive side of Sauron in the Second Age in the wrong way? So, if you're not familiar, Sauron is described as seducing Ar-Pharazôn. Now, I think I've said this in an earlier stream, but the term seductive in this is like you would think from back in Star Wars, being seduced by the dark side. Okay, this is not a a rated R sense of the word seductive, or rated, I don't know what slides for PG-13, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it is not a sexual method of seduction. It is a seduction of the promise of power and the promise of immortality, and the promise of, the ability to seize immortality by force by launching an attack upon Valinor. So that is what that means when they say Sauron is seductive. Now I've seen, like, I give, especially the One Ring people, I give them a hard time because they use the term sexy Sauron, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, no, stop. So when I say that, I'm not meaning like, Sauron shouldn't or won't be easy on the eyes, so to speak. Like, they're Hollywood actors. Like, of course, like, they're not gonna, they're not gonna cast, Steve Buscemi as Anatar, who's a great actor, by the way. Nothing against Steve Buscemi, but like, he's obviously he's gonna look, a certain way because he's gonna be, a famous actor person or whatever, or not necessarily a famous one, but they're gonna be an actor person who's fairly good looking at least. So, but yeah, no, I don't think they should do some, so when I roll my eyes at sexy Sauron, it's more the tone around it and the, the implications. Yeah. So that's all I'll say. I think Sauron should be charismatic. Yes. So Sergio said charismatic. Absolutely. Sauron should be charismatic. He should be manipulative. He should be conniving and convincing. So if they do a good job, like, you should actually somewhat be able to see what Sauron is getting at when he convinces Ar-Pharazôn to attack Valinor. Like, you should at least, maybe not, you won't necessarily agree with him, but like, you'll understand his viewpoint and Ar-Pharazôn's viewpoint. Like, Elros was the first king. He lived for 500 years. Now, lives have been getting shorter and shorter. He's got this beef. Ar-Pharazôn has this beef with the Valar, and you should be able to understand why Ar-Pharazôn is susceptible to the seduction of the promise of immortality and the promise of power and being king of the world, so to speak. Not in a Titanic sense, but you know what I mean. King of Arda thing. Yeah. King among men, all that stuff. So there you go. Good question, though. That's a good question. Can't stop thinking of Steve Buscemi playing Sauron. Yeah, he'll come in there and say, "Hello, fellow elves," or something. Whatever the meme is. You know the meme, right? With the skateboard. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about some video games, eh? How about Return to Moria? We're going to return to Moria. All right, let's put another poll out. Which video game are you looking forward to most? Return to Moria or Gollum? Got two options. I'm just pumped that we have two games, and neither one is a mobile game. Apologies to anyone who, really likes mobile games, but they've just never done it for me. I feel like there's too much pay to win, and you don't really win. You just kind of keep going in this endless cycle. So, Return to Moria is coming out on PC, I believe, and then Gollum is on pretty much every console and PC. What's Return to Moria? I'm glad you asked. Let's roll the teaser. Why not? Let me pull up the teaser for you. You guys haven't seen Return to Moria yet. I'm going to hook you up. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Yes. Moria Craft. Oh, that's a great title. Yeah, I'm going to call it that. Now notice it seems like, the embers here, like it refers to the Balrog, I think. And the embers are disappearing, like the glow. Khazad-dûm. So like people have wondered if we'd see a Balrog in here, and I don't think we will. Maybe we will. I don't know. I like that last one a lot. Yeah. You get to drink as dwarves. So I was trying to figure out if like there was significance to the letters that were lit up, because like the 2 in the middle is not lit up. So I didn't think, oh, well, it's not just a just the middle portion, and like this part's not lit up. So I was trying to like mix and match. So if anybody cracks the code, if there's some secret code, let me know. And Corey Olson, the Tolkien professor, has revealed that he's consulting on this, which is awesome. So one day in the future, we've already talked about it. I'm going to have him on the channel when he's allowed to talk more about it. And we'll talk about the lore behind this. So this is happening in the 4th age. So if you haven't seen, I have an entire video that's the history of Moria. So beginning to end tells you everything that happened historically in Moria, aka Khazad-dûm. And Fellowship of Fans. Shout out to Fellowship of Fans. I just happened to catch your message. So after the events of the War of the Ring and Sauron's gone, the dwarves eventually, during the 7th, during the Deathless, would go and recolonize Khazad-dûm. So I'm guessing that's where this takes place. And at first, I honestly, when I was first watching this, I kind of brushed it off as being, from the graphics and stuff. I was like, oh, they just did the Lotro thing, and it's just Lotro, but a smaller area. But it looks like there's a lot more customization, a lot more building and fighting than I initially expected, the more I looked at it. So yeah, I'm back to being pumped about this. Because at first I thought it was a mobile game, one of those mobile games, like they always do the commercials for mobile games and they look like amazing, and it's just because they're cutscenes and stuff. And then you actually play the game and it's just a bunch of, like, oh, buy 50 Limbus for $5 in the real world. And I'm like, no, man, no, I don't want to do that. Callisto Arcas. Did you ever play Lord of the Rings: The Third Age? Though it got mixed reviews, I enjoyed the turn-based tactics and fighting alongside many characters. Excuse me. Gandalf, Aragorn, Legolas, etc. as a soldier from Gondor. So that is one that I never actually picked up. I never actually played that. Maybe on a retro gaming stream sometime. So yeah. I'm planning on doing more streams going forward. So I've shared this with my Patreon folks, but I'm officially a full-time YouTuber now. So that is a recent development. And I am planning on doing more streams and more bonus videos midweek to just kind of enjoy Middle Earth with you guys more. I love doing this stuff. Like this is fun to spend my days doing this and not doing a 9 to 5. And so I want to just live in this world as much as we can and just have fun. That's what we do here, is have fun in Middle Earth. Oh, I think we missed something. Sorry, I think I missed a chat. I want to make sure I get it. Oh, there we go. Just. Thank you so much for the super chat. I hope we get a Balrog ending dungeon boss, even though it'd be non-canon, or at least a Watcher in the Water boss in the deep place of the earth. Oh, I didn't think about the Watcher in the Water. That's a good one. Yeah. I like that. Well, and there's definitely it's definitely a kind of a blank canvas to work with when he says there's gosh, now I'm blanking, like in the dark places of the earth. Basically, you kind of get the sense if you go back and read, like the way Gandalf describes, like the Balrog kind of bugs out when they go into the deepest, darkest places. Like it makes you wonder, are there things scarier than a freaking Balrog down there? I did a whole video on the Watcher in the Water and the creatures of the deep. So yeah, I'm pretty pumped. I'm pretty pumped about the possibility. It's kind of a fun sandbox to play in, honestly. Fourth Age, like you don't get into the, doing it at this time period. You're not going to mess with any of the Fellowship story or the Sauron or anything like that. Like it's hypothetical and like that's totally cool. Like I've said before, I will most likely always have like more leeway. I won't be as picky on lore with video games as I am with film and series and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe that's not right. You can feel free to disagree with me. Let me know. But I feel like video games, like their primary function should be to be fun. Hey, David. Yeah. So we've kind of been talking about all of it. Honestly, we've been kind of following where the discussion leads us. Honestly, it wasn't really a portion. We've kind of just bounced around. Have you played Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War? Heck yeah, both. Yeah. That's another thing I might do more gaming streams as part of my more streams. Might do some more gaming stuff, which would be fun. So yeah, maybe I'll do a playthrough of either one or both of those. I don't know if I should do both or maybe just Shadow of War because it's the more recent. Yeah. Tell you what, let's that's another one, like I always say, go play Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War for the fun and not the lore. I have people ask me about Talion. Like, what is Talion in the books? Is he like he is in? No, I'm like, no, he is. He is, yeah, footage not found in, or Air 404, whatever the heck you get. Does not exist. All right. 75% looking forward to Return to Moria more than Gollum. Man. Alicia, do you think we'll get a full trailer at SDCC? That would be my guess. I think that's the most logical thing at this point. I mean, well, that's still over a month away. That seems like a long time. Yeah. seems like a long time, but it is the next big event. Yeah, I don't know. Like let's see here. It comes out September 2nd. So that'd be less than 2 months. That'd be like just over a month before it comes out. That feels like really close to the release date to release a trailer, you know? But I don't know. You know, I'm not a professional marketing person, obviously, because I would do it totally different. And only Tolkien nerds would ever want to watch the stuff that I would market, probably. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't have any true inkling on that. I think I will say, if it hasn't come out by Comic-Con, I would be shocked if it did not come out at Comic-Con, if it doesn't get released between now and then. Yeah, I've heard people throw out the NBA Finals, and I think that's based on like the fact that a lot of people did the Super Bowl, or the fact that they released during the Super Bowl. But I don't think the Finals doesn't have the same following, you know. So I don't know. All right, let's give away another prize. All right, next up, we've got a map from Lord of Maps. So I'll shoot them your email address, and you can work out what map you want to get. So here's an example of a map, a beautiful Lord of Maps map. A nice framed one they sent me back a while back when I was filming footage for the for the sponsorship. Sorry, I'm blanking on words here. For the sponsorship, they sent me this awesome map, a variety of states they sent me maps for. So that's one that I have in a nice frame. The winner is Andrew Hiller. So congratulations, Andrew. You're getting a map. They're awesome. And they're hand-drawn. Like, they're originally hand-drawn. He hand draws them all. It's not like software. He's not photoshopping this stuff. Did you ever think this channel would get this big? Nope. Definitely not. No. No, my pie in the sky dream would be that I could stop filming weddings on the side of my regular videography job, my video editor job. I was doing weddings to pay down student loans, and my big dream goal was, hey, maybe one day I won't have to shoot weddings anymore, because they're kind of a pain. Like, they're fun in a sense, but they're also kind of a pain. They take up your entire Saturday. It's a lot of editing. So yeah, it's just one of those things, like when you're an adult with kids, like, it's not the most fun thing to do, to spend half your weekend filming a wedding. Yeah, so needless to say, Nerd of the Rings has exceeded my wildest expectations. Oh, read the winner's name in Gollum voice. That was a good idea. I should have been doing that all along. Shoot. Love your interviews. Who's your next guest? Is there a possibility to get Peter Jackson on? Well, never say never. That would be awesome. That's like a pie in the sky dream. You know, since we're talking about pie in the sky dreams. Yeah, I'd love to get Sir Peter on someday, because, you know, he made my favorite films of all time, and that would be awesome. Even a short interview with Sir Peter would be amazing. As far as my next guest, I don't know if I can reveal quite yet. We're still working out, you know, dates and stuff. But I will say there's a couple folks who I'm sure you know that sound like they're going to come back on the channel, and a date to be determined. So I'll leave you to guess who that might be. All right, next winner. This is for... Let me get it. I'll bring up a picture. Gotta get the pictures. Here we go. Oh, that's really small. Come on, images. Don't fail me now. All right, this is for the new edition of Robert Foster's Guide to Middle-earth. Here we go. There we go. The Complete Guide to Middle-earth. So this is a brand new edition illustrated by Ted Naismith. So if you haven't noticed, in the last few years, they've been releasing a lot of new editions of Tolkien books. So this is a new one of Robert Foster's Complete Guide. And I think I'll have to double check. I think there are changes in this. But yeah, that's one of the books. So I'll go through this on my tour, but I have like some quick handy books that I reference a lot. So I have Tolkien's Letters up here, and I also have a copy of Foster's Guide to Middle-earth. That's another one that I've got on a little shelf that's handy that I like to grab real quick. So the winner for this is Court Campbell. Congratulations. Court Campbell gets a copy of the Complete Guide to Middle-earth, which is releasing later this year. So it's actually a pre-order, but you'll have it. So try not to move. Whatever address you give me, try not to move, Court, from now until then. But we'll get you a pre-order for that. Be in contact via email. All right, so we've got a few more minutes here. And we've got another prize to give away, which is the Silmarillion Tolkien Illustrated Edition. And I am so sorry. I've been catching up with Super Chats so much. I'm going to pull in some questions that I asked from my Patreon supporters. So we'll answer some of these. So Roak, one of our excellent mods, asked, what's your favorite memory so far from your time on YouTube? Man. So interviewing John Rhys-Davies is definitely up there. That's the first one that came to mind when I read this question. And that's nothing against, like, there's been so many cool interviews, you know, talking with Brian Sibley for like 3 hours, who wrote the 1981 audio drama, was awesome. But man, like John Rhys-Davies was so, like just so genuine, like just such a genuinely nice guy, and recorded way longer than I ever expected him to. Like I think it was only supposed to be like 45 minutes or something, or an hour, and he went for 2 hours with me. And so at the end of the video, if you watch the interview, I put on my hat to like I put on my Gimli helmet to thank him for being on. And what you see in the interview is actually the second take, because he said, wait, hold on. And then he like goes off camera for a couple minutes, gets his Gimli helmet, and then comes back on camera, and he's like, okay, let's take that again. Let's do it again. And I'll put my helmet on as well. And so what you see is actually the second take, because he was like, he loved this idea of us both putting our Gimli helmets on. Yeah. So that was fun. And he also like was super cool. He read Gimli's description of the glittering caves, which I actually honestly started to tear up a little bit just listening to him, because it's something that, like, it's just such a beautiful part of the book, like the way Gimli describes it with such passion and beauty for the glittering caves. And yeah, it was just really cool. Like, if you haven't watched that, if there's one interview on this channel that you need to watch, it is the John Rhys-Davies one, 100%. All right. So I kind of already answered this, but Feanor asked me, what was your main incentive for starting the channel? So from my full-time job, I felt like I had knowledge of how YouTube kind of operates. Like I understood basic principles around YouTube, that like I felt like I should give it a shot at some point. And the pandemic hit right around the time I had decided to start a channel. So all of a sudden I'm working from home. I don't have to commute. I've got a little bit more time in my day. So it kind of just fell into place where I started this. And like I said, my pie in the sky dream at that time was that I wouldn't have to shoot weddings on the side, to pay off student loans, and to just have a little bit of wiggle room in the budget that we didn't have otherwise. And it's obviously grown into much, much more than that. Which is all thanks to you guys for, the way you've latched on to this channel, and, the love for Middle Earth that we all share together. It wouldn't be possible without all you guys, without my Patreon supporters and YouTube supporters. Like, it's been an incredible ride, and I'm excited to see what the future holds. All right, let's do one more. Let's do one more question, and then we'll do another giveaway, and then we'll switch over to the arcade channel and we'll do some gaming. All right, Chief asks, I'm considering starting my own Star Wars channel soon. What advice would you give in creating and navigating a genre where there are so many channels already? That is a really good question. So first of all, congrats. That's really fun. Obviously, I've referenced Star Wars a few times tonight, so I am no stranger to the galaxy far, far away. I'm also, have been a big Star Wars fan since about 8 years old, I would say, something like that, when I saw the movies and wore out the VHS tapes. So my general advice for any genre of YouTube, honestly, would be, pick something that you're really passionate about. Because, what I like to tell people, from my personal experience, what I did was, this was all on the side of a regular 9 to 5. I've got 4 kids. I had 3 when I started. Now I have 4 kids. And this was all extra stuff that I didn't have to be doing. So if it wasn't for the fact that I love Tolkien's world and have a passion for it, I wouldn't have stuck with it. Like, I would not have chosen to write scripts and record videos and edit videos into the wee hours of the morning over sleep if it wasn't something that I was really passionate about. So, if that's Star Wars for you, if that's, I don't know, whatever that is for you, I would say definitely do that. So it sounds like for you, that's Star Wars, which is awesome. In terms of, I would say, try not to worry too much, about the, how many channels there are in whatever genre you're going for. But you should be mindful of it, but don't be intimidated by that. Um, if it is good to look at it and say, what do I bring to the table that's unique from other channels? So when I started my channel, it's not like I was the first Lord of the Rings channel by any means, but I felt like, one of the things that I loved doing when I read the books is to have that map. Like, I love the books with have the fold out map at the beginning or at the end, so that if I'm reading about Túrin Turambar, especially with Beleriand, because at least with the Peter Jackson films, you have kind of a rough idea, for where stuff is geographically. What? That's not even a word. You have a rough sense of the geography. But like Beleriand, like, I'm reading about Children of Hurin, I need that map to know where Túrin is going to all these places. So I was very focused on, maps, and that became a big feature of my channel was maps. And that kind of like springboarded me into other unique things. Geographically, there you go. Geographically. Thank you. Yes, we do have a coupon code. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I forgot. All right. So if anyone, if you were bummed, like, oh man, I didn't win any candles. Well, good news, folks, because we have a coupon code for you. It's redeemable at Mythology Candles. Go to Mythology Candles, NOTR 600. That is 10% off for the first 100 people to use that code. I should have announced this earlier when we were doing the candles. I'm so sorry. So go to mythologycandles.com and use the code NOTR 600. So for the first 100 people, there's 389 people here. So you're going to have some competition. But you can use that code and get 10% off your order. All right. I think it's time to give away a book. Here we go. Here we go. There we go. Silmarillion, illustrated by J.R.R. Tolkien. Oh, yes. Here we go. Katie's got it for us. 10% off for the first 100 folks. So check that out in the chat. She's got the link there. All right. So here's the prize. I felt like this was a good grand prize for today. All right. And don't forget, right after this, we're going to jump over to Nerd of the Rings arcade channel and play some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There might be people waiting. I doubt it. There's not very many people subscribed, but we'll be playing that right after this. All right. So the winner of the Silmarillion J.R.R. Tolkien illustrated version is Andreas Riegler. So congrats to Andreas and all the winners. And thank you, everybody, for entering. We will certainly do some more giveaways in the future. Like, when we hit 750,000 subscribers, I feel like that would definitely be worth some more giveaways. Totally. All right. Well, we'll get more into, I'm sure we'll have plenty more opportunities to talk Rings of Power and War of the Rohirrim and Return to Moria and the Gollum game. Like, it's fun that there's multiple projects for us to talk about. Like, how fun is that? Multiple Tolkien projects. And like, gosh, even if like half of them turn out good, that's more than we've had the last 10 years, 10 plus years. I'm for one just excited that like we're getting things more often than every 10 years because it's been a while. It was like, we get the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Okay, now 10 years later, you'll get another trilogy, maybe a couple video games here and there. But like, we have 4 different things in active development right now. It's pretty awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you again to my Patreon supporters. If you're interested, you can go to patreon.com/nerdoftherings or here on YouTube. If you become a channel member, you get exclusive access to our Discord server, and we're chatting in there pretty much every single day. It's a lot of fun. Tiers start at 99 cents. So I try to make sure we keep the entry level nice and low. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We'll have some more. Shout out to Nerd Cookies. I saw you comment earlier. I meant to say something. Shout out to Nerd Cookies for hanging out. Another great channel that you should definitely go check out. She's the only reason that I know anything about Dune whatsoever. So shout out to Nerd Cookies. All right. Well, we're going to hop over to Nerd of the Rings Arcade. Give me just a second to switch over my live stream stuff, and we'll be right over there. Check us out at the link in the pinned comment, and we'll see you next time on Nerd of the Rings.